Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VectoScalar Tech Talk show. In this show, we get thought leaders from tech industry who can share their insight with other fellow viewers so that they can learn and grow in their business. In the same series, in this episode, we have Vignesh Raja, who will be talking about how to leverage market intelligence for business success. Welcome, Vignesh, to VectoScalar Tech Talks show.
Oh, thanks a lot, Vikas. It's a pleasure to be a part of this engaging show. I've been seeing that you've been coming out with some very interesting and insightful interactions, and it's a great pleasure to be in the midst of this initiative. Thanks for having me in your show.
Thanks again, Vignesh. For the benefit of audience, let me introduce you to Vignesh Raja. Vignesh Raja is CEO of First, a market intelligence company. He is having more than 18 years of industry experience in business research, analytics, and strategy consulting. His expertise includes business analytics, market intelligence, digitization strategy, competitor landscaping, customer research, and business strategy, helping companies grow using research and intelligence. He was one of the elite jury member for Singapore-based hackathon. He has authored numerous business research paper reports, white papers, and has been quoted and featured in leading industry publication. And he has been speaker and trainer as well at various reputed firms. He did his MSc honors and Master of Management Studies from BITS. So, Vignesh, people love this term about market intelligence. Everyone loves to grow and be successful in their business. But what exactly is market intelligence?
Great. Many times there is a lot of misconception when you talk about market intelligence. People think, oh, okay, great, it's going to be something on marketing. Unfortunately, which is not the case. So I would like to decode that for the better understanding of people here. Market intelligence is something which is aligned towards market analysis. And here it is not just about the competitors, it's about understanding the markets, understanding about the products, understanding about the customers, and also about the industry in general. Most important thing is it's more about looking within and looking outside as well. So it's a very important element. And the most important thing is this very element of market intelligence is leveraged by almost every set of companies, whether they happen to be a startup or an established SME or an MSME or a very large company as well. So I would say that almost every kind of company across industry verticals will need market intelligence at any or every point of time.
Okay,
Uh,
that's an insightful
I,
update. Yeah.
I know I'm not gone in further detail, but for the benefit of decoding it a little bit more, the basic idea on the market intelligence part, there are two larger components to it. One, which is your competitive insight, and the other, which is the market insight. Within this, you can further deep dive where you can share on the competitive insight, which is largely on the competitor intelligence and the product intelligence. And on the market
Okay,
insight, it's more on the market understanding and the customer insight. I'm sure we will keep
got it.
discussing more along the way.
Sure.
Don't worry on the jargon part, but it's the basic idea is more about understanding the market, customers, and the partners in general.
Sure. So, how is it different from data analytics? Because lately we are also hearing this term, which is commonly called data analytics, which also talks about numbers and analysis. So, what are the difference? Are these two same things, or there is some common ground?
Okay, so I would say data analytics is a kind of a tool which is leveraged to solve a particular problem. So the basic understanding which will precede this data analytics is the business equation here. So what is the problem you're looking to solve? So if I know that I'm looking to grow in my business, I may have different challenges. So I would say that the business problem will precede any kind of data analytics. I mean, you can
Yeah.
be fancifully wanting to deploy any kind of technology, but you will not go anywhere, or probably you will not achieve your desired results unless you know what is the business problem you're solving, and what is the value you're going to be accruing by accomplishing this. Maybe I can share a quick nugget of information. So
Sure.
if
Yeah.
I were to do more on customer intelligence, or I'm very sure you would have seen the way in which companies come out with trying to introduce a new product, or understanding their competition, or probably understanding the customers better, or understanding the competitive landscape. So there is a lot of data analytics which goes into play, but the very basic idea on what problem you want to solve will always precede that towards achieving it. So I would say you start with a business problem, pain point, and then move towards deploying the data analytics or technology or anything, uh, but fundamentally trying to use this as a tool to achieve your desired result. I hope that makes it simpler.
Yes. So, as per my understanding now, we can say that the business requirement, the core requirement is market intelligence. And then there are tools, different tools to deploy market intelligence to collect that information. And data analytics is those set of tools that we use to gather that market intelligence.
Well said. I think that kind of nails it completely. So to add a little bit more elements to it, if I want more information, I will need to collect some data. So which is where I can probably look at collecting data from the market, which is secondary sources. Probably Google, your best example. You can look
Yeah.
at the data which is there wide and more, and then any other secondary sources which could be your published databases, and probably the library, and any data which is openly accessible. And next you have the other data, which is the primary research or primary data, where you may not necessarily have access to it, but you will have to unearth, which is where when we are you discussed on the tools,
Yeah.
a simple tool I want to extend here is a survey is an amazing tool. So now if I want to interact with a lot of people in the value chain, I will administer surveys of various front, and then come out with understanding the market dynamics from the survey or the interaction as well. And thankfully, today, because of the advent of technology, you have a whole lot of data tools to pick the data from. And I mean, whether from starting from the basic forms like your Google and Microsoft forms, to the Zohos and the various forms which are available. So there are various avenues by which you can collect. So I would again, so with regard to the data analytics, since we are moving ahead with that particular part,
Yeah.
data collection, I would say, is the starting point within that particular area.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. Now, VectoScalar as a company is into providing IT services for the client, which includes building web application and mobile applications. Now, I'm just trying to think of the life cycle of a founder. So, founder will have an idea about an application, and they will probably get a team which includes CTOs, and then they will start building the application. They will find a team like us and become the tech partner. Now, at what phase the company like yours or the consultant like yours get into the picture of market intelligence, and where they start and where they exit?
Great. I think I must say that we are very glad and happy to have some amazing kind of clients whom we support at the local Indian market level and the South Asian market levels,
Okay.
where we have been supporting clients for quite some time. So the one thing which I also want to express a little bit more is, first is a company which is primarily focused on food, beverage ingredients, and in recent times we have also extended focus on energy and mobility. So these are the sector focus areas. But having said that, we also focus on areas which are keen, are of specific interest. So now back to your specific question on where
Yeah.
we step in, step out. It completely depends on the specific requirements, because sometimes the clients may need understanding about their existing customers, or they may need to understand their business better, or they may want to explore new business opportunities. It may be to explore new markets, new regions, new spaces, or another interesting use case where market intelligence is classically used is, I'm very sure the sales team which always or probably the management which always wants to understand how big the market is and what is the
Great.
potential for growth. And the minute I strategize the market sizing, the next step is assigning the sales potential and the growth, or probably the targets which I want to assign for my sales team. So there again, so which is where the managements from different companies always need data backed with proper statistics and data. So which is where we also play a very active role. So which means companies may need this business planning activity year on year, or probably sometimes companies do it on a strategic basis. Well, you know what, now this is a year we are pivoting to a new business, let's do this. Or they may want to do probably understand when I'm going to be focusing on a new market, on an expansion plan, at that time I may require it. Or we've also had issues where companies which have been growing well, suddenly they realize that the market has probably degrowth. So they want to understand whether they are in a degrowing market, or the market generally is there, or are they facing any other challenges which probably they are not able to assess from the market. So which is where we step in as specialists to understand and present about letting these companies know about the market trends, the industries challenges, so that they can tap into the opportunities which lie amidst them.
Okay, that makes total sense, Vignesh. Now, as you talked about, there are different kind of market intelligence covering competitor intelligence, product, market, and customer insight. Is there any sequence that, okay, when a new startup starts with, they start with A, B, and then go to C? Is there any sequence, or how's it?
Great. With regard to startups, they have a very different problem they have, because for them it's a classic case of product market fit. So
Yeah,
the question is, not every startup has the luxury of getting or having a great budget, because many instances we see that many startups have bootstrap budgets, and then you
yeah,
have the other set of lucky few which have the benefit from the VCs and the industry partners. So what normally happens is, where such startups need support is the product market fit, because the minute these startups accomplish the product market fit, then they are pretty well positioned to scale. Because I'm very sure you will agree and understand that companies need to make money in the first place, because unless until I make money in the first place,
yeah,
I'm not going to be the business, or investors are not going to put money on my table. So interestingly, which is where we've also had instances where we've had people from the investor community come out and take inputs from us. So that's also something which has happened. So I would say that startups, the first thing which they will need to understand is the problem statement right? Is that a very big pain point they are focusing on? Is there a great market for it? And is the product market fit right? And so which is where your MVP, I'm very sure you
yeah.
will
Yes,
in
yes,
fact the minimum viable product. And now
yes.
it's companies are talking about minimum lovable product as well. So I think I would say that as long as they achieve that, I think we are ever happy to support in their growth journey, because the minute they are scaling up, they'll have a new set of challenges where which we are very well poised to support them. I would say that we can step in, step out at any or every stage of it. But on the specific ask where you had about the startups, the
Yeah.
biggest problem for them is sustenance, scalability, and business growth. And have they got the product market fit? So I think that's where they will have to take it right.
So, Vignesh, you strategically chosen a very right word, that startup. Very few startup will have the luxury. So it seems like having a market intelligence team is a luxury to have,
No,
right?
no, yeah. In fact, you wouldn't believe it. While many, in fact, if in fact, I've also been reviewing on who are the people whom we've been supporting and where and how not. Or so we've generally seen companies, the different business functions. If you see, companies always have this sales, marketing, finance, and other functions. And then this element of market intelligence, very few companies which really know the benefit have this. But within this, we have also seen that companies have this classified under the sales function or possibly the marketing function. Sometimes they have this element of market intelligence manager. or probably the consumer insights, or the business insights, or the business strategy. So I think we see that there is a more emergence of this vertical coming to fruition. But yes, as you rightly said, many companies do not look at this as a very strategic opportunity, because they see that they probably feel that it's something which is better left to experts like us. I mean, but I would always say that every company would need to have a business, like a function in place, and we'd love to support, because in terms of helping them establish a team with it, because we feel that we've been working on solving as many different problem statements. But what normally happens with any particular environment is the industry also changes. So let's say a very classic case is, let's assume that I'm working on a problem statement today, and I'm working on understanding the market. So let's take the
Yeah.
same example of vector scalar. So let's say that I'm doing an assessment to understand vector scalar's business, and I'm going to be investing on, let's say, 6 weeks or 8 weeks into this particular initiative. What will typically happen is, by probably the within a year, possibly the information which we have collected may possibly go defunct also, because of various market challenges. Because I'm very sure you will agree that there
Yeah.
is the wider element of ramifications in terms of market dynamics. It could be related with the environment, it could be the socioeconomics, it could be new challenges. So there are a lot of dynamism in the market which may change the equation all around.
That makes sense, Vignesh. My next question would be that, in your experience, because you have a vast experience of working in the same space, any time where probably company was thinking of taking some other initiative, or there were assumption, some other assumption about the product or whatever strategy that they were trying to adopt, and based on your experience and your market intelligence revealed something else, would you like to share any such case
I,
study? I'm sure
we, yeah,
there
yeah,
will be many.
we've no, no, you're right, actually. We've had many instances where, let me take one very interesting example. So this probably would have been almost a decade back. So there was this prominent market leader in one industry vertical which stepped in, and they said, oh, you know what, we have been the market leader in this space. So if you are a market leader, then I'm very sure you will not have as many chances. Great, you've come to us, which means we probably have to don the role of a doctor, diagnosing and understanding what exactly is the problem they are undergoing. So then we came to know that they were saying that we're not too sure, over the last 3 4 months the sales have been reducing, or probably we've been having decreased offtake in the market. So we are a little concerned whether we should continue to invest in this particular space, or if the market potential itself reduces, should we exit this market? So this was a kind of a scenario which happened, and you will not believe it. When we initiated this engagement and we started to interact in the market, so now, getting back to the basics on what a market intelligence study will look like. Uh, depending on the scope of the study, it can anywhere take from 4 to 8 weeks to a 12 to 16 week time frame, where the key differentiator which we bring to the table is interacting with market participants. So if you did relate with the primary interaction which I did mention to you, let's
Yes.
say that there are different people in the ecosystem. So there would be a manufacturer, there would be a distributor, there would be a retailer. So there are a wide set of people in that ecosystem, in the business ecosystem. So what we would typically do is try to identify and understand what's happening at every stage and every level. And you will not believe it, coming to this particular issue, we
Yeah.
understood that the sales team which were involved, so there had been a mass exodus from this particular company, and they had joined the competitor business. So when such a thing happened, this entire thing collapsed, where while earlier the company was thinking it was probably related with marketing, sales, and business growth, this happened to be a HR related issue. So would you believe it? Because just imagine, they've always been thinking on, okay, should I be in the business or not? But then it was a completely different dimension. When we interacted, they said, the people who moved from company A to company B, they were saying that, oh, you know what, that company's product is not that great. You should probably, this has ABC flaws. You should probably not pick this product. So when so which means you will unearth a lot of blind spots which
Yeah.
you will not know about. I think that is what companies like us, or probably in the market intelligence, bring to the table, unearthing a lot of blind spots, because the most important thing is we interact with a lot of people in the ecosystem in a very unbiased manner. Because you can very well go and interact with people, but if you're going to be interacting with your supplier or your customer, they're going to be saying, great, you have a lovely product. But
Yeah.
whereas when we come from a different dimension, with a very specialized focus, we would be in a better position to understand and know the market reality, and then that's what we bring to the table.
Yeah, that's a very interesting case study that you just shared, that the whole dynamics changed because company was thinking of whether they are still relevant for the market, and it's just that the people moved to some other company and they were still relevant. And I must say that they must have thrived after getting the new team in place and working with them. That's a beautiful thing. I have a question coming from Naman. Naman is asking, how can businesses use data analytics to blend real-time intelligence with forecast to shape and succeed in future markets?
Great. Thanks, Naman, for your question. Yes. So I think which is where I would request that you may need to constantly look at newer touch points in terms of collecting data. But if you can share some more details on your industry and segment, it'll be great. But try to see what kind of tools or what kind of quantum of data do you have. Because normally today what's happened is, I would say Excel is fairly okay until certain quantum of
Yeah.
analysis point. But having said that, you also have the luxury of using other tools like your Microsoft Power BI or Tableau. So which means you have tools at your disposal, and these tools have been fairly good to go as well. And I think you will not need as much support in terms of putting things in play. The most important thing is, are you collecting the data at the right touch points, and are you collecting the appropriate data? Because the other challenge which will happen, which we've normally noticed, is the data. So as it happens with any kind of projects, like garbage in, garbage out. So is the data you collect appropriate? So I would say ensure that the data which is collected is appropriate, and bring in all the business dimension in terms of asking as many questions, so that the more questions you ask, the better you'd be able to know whether you have the right set of data. So I would still say technology is a great enabler, but ensure that your business basics are covered. Because the minute you have possibly missed out on certain things, then you'll say, oh my god, I don't have data for this, what do I do? So which means you can't collect some data at a prior point. So I think which is where yes, you can definitely look at collecting different touch points. And thankfully you have some amazing tools in the market today which can help you to make the market work. One word of caution which I would do is, not every industry is very dynamic. So probably in financial sector you will see that a lot of dynamism and every stock markets and whatnot. But it's not necessary every market may be the same way. So just focus on understanding the basics and get it covered. But I hope that that question kind of addresses the question which you put forth.
Yes, you have very well answered the question. Though I have a follow-up question in the same regard,
Please,
because I just
please go
got
ahead.
more curious on that part.
Yeah,
So when
yeah.
we are specifically talking about real-time intelligence, so from my technology background, I can think of search engine optimization, SEO, Google Console, which gives you the real-time data that how your entities, digital entities, are performing. What could be the other real-time intelligence tools or inputs that can be considered to build any strategy?
I think I would say that there are a lot of tools. The only question is, what is the problem you're looking to solve? I think that would be the basic point. I will not want to give tools, because tools, I think, because you will know it better. There are like hundreds of
Yeah.
tools today. I mean, from the SEOs and from the dashboards to a lot of tools. But the fundamental will always be on getting the right approach. And as long as you're able to
Oh,
get it, we should be able to put forth. And I think today on the database front also, it's getting cheaper and cheaper, and people moving towards AWS cloud and very many things. I think
yeah.
I would say computing itself is becoming easier, effective, and cost effective. So yeah, I think earlier we always had this aversion. Oh, it's going to be costly. Or what? How much is it? Oh, dollar. No, I'll not touch it. But now, thankfully, we have such support systems, so we should not worry too much on it. Just ensure that the basics are addressed, and we are pretty much good to go.
Sure, sure. That makes sense. And Naman, thanks for asking the question. I hope your question is answered. And it's a follow-up question to the viewers now. I'm sure you must have used some market intelligence or some form of gathering information gathering tool for your business or your work. Do share in the comment box below that what was your kind of sharing that you have used, or your tool that you have used in the part, and what was the actual scenario where you have used that tool. We'll see, and
I
we'll
I
scroll
I,
through, and if we
I
can
think
take
that's
some example. Yeah.
that's a lovely question. That's a lovely question. In fact, as a person on the other side, I'd love to know what are the tools people believe or people think
Yeah.
they're using, and I think it'll be a very very interesting initiative to know more on that.
Yeah, because we have seen. I was talking to a CEO like some few months ago, and he mentioned that he was doing his third startup. That company was his third company, and first two failed. Where he said that they did a common mistake of building something and then going into the market to sell it, and they got to know there was no buyer. So for the third company, they understood that first go to the buyer, ask them what they want, and then they built what they want, and now the business is thriving.
Oh, wonderful. No, I think that's a very, very fair point. So, in fact, since you brought that particular point, within our company, we are also building a humongous database of shop checks, like related with the food, beverage ingredients, because we believe that companies need as much data, which is not unified and not available. So, we are building something, and maybe if there is some interest, we'd love to, share to some people who are interested, and probably see if they may want to, be our initial beta testers as well, if they happen to require such a need of it. So yeah, we'd love to see if there is an imminent need on that also.
Sure, Vignesh. Now I'll take a set of different kind of market. Now earlier we discussed for a large organization, they are looking for some external kind of data, competitive data or product market fit. What about the within the organization? If organization is looking to evaluate the performance of the people, is market intelligence still relevant there, or
Okay, so
it's a different domain?
I would say largely when you look at market intelligence itself, it's largely outward facing, meaning looking out. But having said that, sometimes you may always want to look within and see what is important, which means, because what happens is, which is where the classic case of SWOT analysis comes in, right? I mean,
Yeah.
strength, weakness, opportunity, strength. Great,
Yes.
what your other competitors are doing, but innately, as a culture, as a fabric, and I will also need to know about what is it I have as a great USP. So I think that is another very important thing which companies will have to do within. I think this is more an internalization exercise on trying to see what is it each and every one within the company are focusing on. So I think this is largely an exercise which is done within, while it would not be within the purview of this exercise, but companies will need to do this initiative from time to time, so that they are constantly being relevant for the market, and how can the positioning happen, and probably are there any new business verticals which can come through, are there any separate business units which can be hived off. So there are possibilities. Yeah, I think looking within is always a very important point. In fact, since again you brought that particular point, because I would also like to say that many times a lot of data resides within, and very few times you have this unified way of getting as much best practices within organizations. Yes, so I think, in fact, I still remember in a few instances in my earlier stints, idea generation is a classic case, because companies want to always come out with some very innovative ideas, inputs, and probably these are in silos, or probably they end up being in specific departments. So I think these have to really be tapped in. It may not necessarily fall under the gamut of market intelligence itself, but yes, I would say that this is a very very pertinent thing which any or every organization will have to delve about.
Okay. That's beautiful, and that's very relevant that there are different use cases. Even some internal use cases can be considered, but mostly it's outward where we are either talking about the product or the customer or the market or the competition. Yes.
Correct.
I have another question coming from Sid, who is asking, share about the growth of market intelligence in India. So, how is the market evolving in India for market intelligence?
Okay, I think it's a very overarching question. I would say that awareness levels are increasing. So you can see that many more people are being aware of this sector in India, and India as a sector and segment also is like lot. There's been a big a shift. Like almost everyone wants to step into India today. So which is where across different sectors and segments, people want to know about India. So and many times we miss out on this opportunity because if you look at India itself, India is a very big market. Have we actually thought about, okay, India? We are using this generalized term of India, but have we thought about, okay, great, I can actually split this into North India, South India, West India, and East India. So many times people make this generalized notion. Okay, great. I'm going to be introducing something, and then for Pan India. And because I think you will also agree with me, it doesn't generally work because just look at how diverse India is by nature of language, by nature of habits, by nature of food, by nature of culture. It's amazing. So I would say that while the market, I think that is again where the pertinence of market intelligence on this particular space. Now I think coming back to the specific purpose on the sector or segment itself, there are these set of companies from India which are looking to establish business out of India, and they need support. So that's point one. And the other instance where companies from abroad looking to introduce markets in India. And also you see the different industry associations which are supporting this ecosystem, and you see almost every state which has this element on startups. So yeah, I'm very sure you from
Yeah.
Maharashtra to Tamil Nadu to Kerala to Assam, almost like every other state has this mandate of enhancing the startup ecosystem. So I would say that I think there is an ever emerging need of more and more important sweet spot in terms of how can I get a rich form of content, and how can I get some data and information which is accessible, and most importantly which is insightful, and how can I make use of the data. Because today what's actually also happened is you have access to as much data, but that also is a bigger problem, right? Because I will probably have, say, if I put a keyword somewhere, I'm going to get like 1,000 records, but how much is
True.
something which is valid, how much is something which I should pick, and how much is right, and then how much do I use it for my actionable insight. I think that is where the challenge still exists. So yeah, so which is where we continue to be supporting the ecosystem, because we constantly feel that we want to provide actionable and insightful data which can be made use by companies, whether it's the startups and the SMEs, or probably the investor community, which need our inputs to make insightful decision making.
That's a very well explained answer, and I must say that it clearly show your area of expertise, because there are no generic answer, there are no generic yes and no's. There are always deeper answer, which are that are very having the context. That what is the context, in what region, for what kind of audience this question is being asked. That is very relevant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I think positioning is something which is very, very important thing. Customer segmentation is very important, because pricing is something which is very important, and which is where you see that there is the market opportunity at every level. So you really can't look at it on a very generalized basis, because in if you look at any particular product for that market within India, you can easily see. I mean, there is this economy range, you have this mid range, and then you have the premium and the super luxury range. So as long as companies understand who their customers are, so I think the basics is who your customers are, and how will they know you, and what is your USP which differentiates yourself from your competitors. I think that's about it in a nutshell, which will help in any company for focusing on their business growth.
Sure. And my last question, Vignesh, would be towards that how one can develop these knowledge and skill. For example, there are new talent who is entering the market and they want to get into this space of market intelligence. And definitely, as you already said, that probably not many startup will have the luxury to hire the external agency, but at least the founder has to, that function has to be there, that questions, those questions has to be answered. So what are those skills or things that one can develop and learn to build this expertise?
Wonderful, great, lovely question to wrap it up. So
Yeah.
let me try to jot down some key points. The fundamental thing is observation, because just imagine the very element of observing things around you. I think that's a very fundamental thing. That's the first thing I would say. Second is the critical thinking. A third is curiosity. So if you see a particular product which is there, you need to have this next question: why is it there? Is it selling? I think then, so which means you can always go ahead with the next point on your ability on following it up with your curiosity, and then following up with specifically asking questions. So I think these are the fundamental things. But beyond this, the other thing which I think which probably has to be really pepped up is the knowledge in the business use cases. Meaning, there could be any particular vertical you may want to become a specialist on, but to what extent are you conversant on the current affairs? So I think that is something which is far and lagging. I would say, I mean, you may want to step into any particular industry vertical. It could be on auto, it could be on food, it could be on beverage, it could be on computers, it could be on IT, it could be on services, it could be on e-commerce, it could be on any sector and segment. In fact, oil and gas, construction, realty, you can focus on
Yeah.
any particular vertical. But to what extent do you understand the market? To what extent do you understand the key players? What extent do you understand the challenges? What are the elements which make up that particular ecosystem? I think I would say current affairs, the ability to read, comprehend, and have a view on it. Because today we are so fascinated with the swiping generation, right? Where the minute we read a few small or short content, we are very happy with it. Oh, great! I've got great knowledge. It doesn't work that way. You need to really go a little further, ask critical questions, and then have your own assessment on why, what, and what not. And another second thing, I mean, since you did ask on what additional things can be developed, I
True.
would always encourage students, participants, or anyone who want to develop this particular space to attend industry meets and probably expos. So I think expos are lovely places. You get to see some new products which are being launched. Why are they being launched? I mean, what are the features which they're introducing? So I think, and thankfully, thanks to COVID, today you have the concept of virtual expos, which are unheard of. So meaning I can sit in the comfort of my space and then look for a virtual expo which can happen in a particular space. So to what extent are you conversing with? The third thing I would also look at giving actionable exercises. Are you part of any industry associations which is relevant to you? So there could be a lot of these industry platforms. I'm very sure the Siki, Fiki, and probably the
Yeah.
Associam are the usual ones. But beyond that, there are different industry associations which are specific to your own industry verticals. You have, I mean, you can look at Retailer Association of India, specifically focused on retailers. Then you focus on hospitality, you have a separate vertical. You have auto, which has its own industry vertical. So I would say look at industry associations. And if you happen to be a student, great. Students are also welcomed in these associations. So I think these are also places and avenues where you can get to learn and understand and network with people in the ecosystem. So I think I hope, in fact, there are some more points, but I know we're running short of time. I can always keep talking about it, but yeah, I'm happy to share some more bits if required.
Sure. And I must say that you have that vast experience. You can just brought out all the details on your fingertips in this conversation. And I understand that you talked about observation, critical thinking, and curiosity to be the fundamentals. That should be the fundamental human nature, or you need to develop those skills to grow further into this aspect. And then there are a lot many virtual expo happening. One should be updated on the current affairs, and they can join industry association to build the knowledge about the relevant industry that they are building upon. Now, I would just like to end with the end note that any last message for the audience on how they can contact you and contact you for your services.
Great. I mean, thanks because for this. I'm active on LinkedIn, and my email address. I'm happy to share my email address also. Vignesh Raja at firstmr.com. And I'm sure if anyone reaches out, more than happy to support in any particular way. So in fact, since you specifically indicated this, we are also having a very particular focus on academic outreach initiative where we want to impart knowledge to students and industry people alike. And we are very proud to be associated with Swine Plus, the industry, the government initiative in recent times, where we are one of the industry partners providing knowledge support. So great. And we are very keen and committed to supporting this ecosystem. And we'd love to have more discussions. And we'd love to see if we can be part of your growth journey in any particular ways. Thanks,
Thanks,
Vikas,
Vignesh.
for
Yeah.
this lovely discussion. And I really hope there has been some, if not many, takeaways for people who have attended today's session.
Definitely, our audience must have received lot many takeaways from the today's session, because things we were thinking that okay, they will casually happen. There is no casual in the business, and everything has its own importance. So probably the market intelligence, the product market fit, MVP, all these are critical format things, but somehow people just take them so casually. So if you really serious about your business, growth of your business, then one must deploy serious market intelligence to achieve the same. So thanks, Vignesh, for answering all our questions and sharing further insights. We have received the accolades from the participants as well. So Naman is saying it was a very informative session. Thanks again. And with that, I would like to also thanks our audience who has been very supportive in all our past and looking for the same support for our future event as well. Thank you very much and have a nice day ahead. Bye bye.
Thank, thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Sure.